Hello. It's time for another video in the Bhagavad Gita series. And today we are looking at it's a Song of the Blessed One. Chapter 5, verses 13 to 16. You'll remember, well, maybe not, because it's been a little bit of a while since the last video. I would like to do videos more often, but other work gets in the way. If you want to help me do videos more often, you can feel free to get in touch about becoming a student, or if you don't want to become a student, you just want the videos, you can always feel free to send me a donation. It'll be very much appreciated. But in the last Gita video, what we saw was this notion of how the opening of the lotus is a state related to the giving up not of material things, not of personal desires, but of what's called lust of result, of demanding that the universe go the way you think it should go. So in chapter 5, verse 10, it said, "Dedicate all your works to Brahma. If you take action without attachment, you are free of wrongdoing, like a lotus leaf is touched by the water on which it rests." And in verse 12 it said, "Thus practicing, giving up the lust of result, one achieves unswerving peace. One who does not practice this, acting with desired results in mind, will always become attached." So now we get to verses 13 to 16, which go as follows. "Renouncing all activities of the mind, one who is so focused will always be blissful. In the city of 9 gates, which is the body, one must be embodied in such a way that you desire no action nor any result. The master of this city will claim no possession of it, nor cause its people, its various parts, to take actions, nor will he be connected to the results of any activities, but only act naturally." I'm going to stop there. That's verses 13 and 14. So, renouncing all activities of the mind, one who is focused will always be blissful. If you remove yourself from the desired state of what you want things to be like, what happens? Well, then you're doing things right here and now. You're in the state. What it's describing here as the mind so focused that is always blissful is the state that in Yifa Qigong we call the active consciousness, that you are showing up. That's how I've always called it, that you show up to where you are right now, and you're engaged, you're blissful, because instead of being lost in what you're going to do later or how you want things to turn out, you're doing things for their own sake right now. You're being right here. From there, it starts talking about this metaphor of the city of the 9 gates, which is to say the human body. The city of the 9 gates is a term for the body. And I've heard some people say that this is because, it's talking about 9 energy centers or something like that, right? And the more, the actual origin of that concept of the city of the 9 gates is because you have 9 different bodily orifices, you could say. So those are your 9 gates where things come out of or go into. So the city of 9 gates, one must be embodied in such a way that you desire no action nor any result. The master of the city will not claim possession of it, nor cause its people to take actions. So you're what Krishna is saying here is that you being in this body, you don't become possessive of a separate identity of being this body as a part to being part of the world, which is the beginning of separation. Lust of result leads one. You can't have lust of result if you're one with everything, right? So if you're to have lust of result, you have to first have experienced some kind of a sense of separation. The ego separate from the whole, the high and the what's above and what's below, experiencing a rift. And from that, you develop this lust of result where you think, if I can just do this, if I can just do that, then I'll be happy. And the real thing that will make you happy is spiritual union. And this is true in just about, I mean, it is true objectively, but I also mean that it is taught as a truth in just about every mystical teaching. So to continue, verses 15 and 16. Likewise, the greater king of all the cities, that is Brahma, will not accept any saintliness or sin. It is only individual beings who are deluded to believe so, their awareness clouded by ignorance. However, when ignorance is destroyed by awareness, the awareness of a living being becomes like a golden dawn, revealing the highest. So, the first two verses are about you. The second two verses are about the universe. This is a parallel that gets created between the body, the city of nine gates, and the universe, the kingdom, which is governed by Brahma. So we learn, first of all, that our body is a kind of a microcosm, and therefore, this is why in alchemy and qigong and these different teachings, the body is the place where you are, it's the field of play. It is where you are able to act in such a way as to obtain self-transformation. It's your experimental lab, you could say. This is also connected to that axiom of as above, so below, right? That we are the microcosm and the macrocosm match. And what it says first about the body, it then goes on to talk about the universe. And when it's talking about the universe, it tells you something very important. It says, the greater king of all the cities, that is to say, Brahma, right, the divine force, will not accept any saintliness or sin. So saintliness and sin are just delusions. We're told their awareness is that they're only it's only individual beings who are deluded to believe so. Their awareness clouded by ignorance. What does this mean? Does this mean that there's no such thing as good or evil? On a certain level, you could say yes, because if we define good or evil by what is moral in the context of our society, then this is a deluded and ignorant notion of individual beings who have achieved states of collective delusion that is even worse than individual delusion, because they make conditionings, cultural conditionings, right? The universe is not moral or immoral. It's amoral. It's an amoral universe. However, the universe is virtuous. If we understand the concept of virtue, which you could also call something like law, right? Like the divine law. If we understand that there are certain characteristics that are natural in the universe, certain forces and concepts that are natural in the universe, and that they have to be obeyed, not because of some kind of a moral law of that, Moses received the 10 commandments because of this or that, right? That's a metaphor for the notion of saying this is stuff that is inherent to reality. It's not just, thou shalt not kill is not something that is just a contextual moral law. It's trying to reach a notion of understanding natural law, of what the reality of pragmatic reality of things are, right? So virtue is the term that is used in qigong and in the Yifa society for the nature of the universe having natural rules that are not based on a dictate, but based on the fact that this is what reality is. There's no way to get around this. And if you try to break these rules, then the only result is suffering. One of these natural rules is union, is the idea that everything is interconnected. Everything is connected, everything is united to each other. There's no such thing as a separate, an atom that is separate from the rest of reality. And as long as you're operating under this idea, this notion within yourself that you are separate from the rest of reality, you are going to suffer. You will experience suffering because you are violating one of the natural virtues of the universe. It's not a punishment because it's not about a moral code. We might interpret it as punishment from our limited perspective, but that's not what it's about. And so this has to say something to us too, because if we have this parallel created between us in our bodies and then God, Brahma, in the universe, the fact that then we hear it being said here that Brahma, he doesn't tolerate saintliness or sin, that tells us something about how we have to act. We can't be bound by conditioned moral rules. We have to be bound by natural moral rules, by virtue. And we have to learn what the difference is between one or the other. We have to learn the difference between what is just something that some people invented at some point and then became tradition, then became custom, and then became an unbreakable sacred cow, which you see everywhere in every culture and not just in religion, and what is a code, a fundamental part of natural reality. So the universe doesn't judge between saintliness and sin. You shouldn't judge between saintliness and sin. The universe accepts everything because it has to, because otherwise there is separation. There isn't a union. It would be delusional to think that there isn't an acceptance of all things, a unitedness of all things. Within that union, there are other forces at play too. There's the importance of function, of discipline. There is the importance of harmony, of balance, right? And then there's the importance fundamentally of truth, that that only what exists only is true. And if you're not clinging to what is true, if you're not connecting to what is true, then you are literally connecting to things that don't exist. So in your life, how is this applied? Well, it means you have to accept the reality of where you are. You have to accept showing up and being there and not judging this is good or this is bad. This experience is good, this experience is bad. Not judging that you want things to go a different way. But this isn't being passive in some kind of a helplessness sense of saying, well, I just have to do, then I don't have to do anything and I just have to surrender because I can't do anything because I can't change my life, or because what would be the point, right? This is a problem that some spiritual seekers get. They think, well, if the thing that's most important is enlightenment, if the thing that's most important is self-transformation, or however you want to put it, right? Or if God is more important and this world is just meaningless, then what's the point of doing anything, right? Then this also is a delusion, because you're already part of God. You're here right now and you're supposed to do things, right? You're just not supposed to look at things through the lens of wishing you were the only force in the universe, right? And getting to have your way. You have to, on the contrary, what you have to give up is not acting as such, but it is the attachment that your actions will bring desired results. So how do we get there? Well, you have to start by this fundamental gratefulness of where and when you are, of showing up and being there, and understanding life itself as the richest possible gift, and entering into whatever it is that has been given to you, right? And wherever you are, and figuring out how to work with what has been given to you. Because discipline, as I mentioned, is one of the other core virtues of reality. It's not a moral code, and there is such a thing as moral discipline, right? And punishment and things like that, which are not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about you connecting, showing up, being in the world, and doing things right now, for the right now, not for some result that's going to come later, not for something that might happen, but for right here and right now. And if you do those, then you will end up finding a kind of fulfillment that isn't a fulfillment of I got something, because those fulfillments always come and go, right? Oh, you know, I won the prize, and now 2 seconds later the prize doesn't mean anything, right? But if you are constantly engaging with life, you're constantly uniting with life, you are constantly acting with discipline, you are constantly living truth, and you are constantly engaging in a harmony within yourself and without yourself, then you end up having this existence that is natural, that is connected, and you get closer and closer to that state of union. So this is the advice that's being given. That's everything for today. If you like this video, please, if you haven't already, please check out the rest of this playlist, the Bhagavad Gita playlist, and please subscribe to this channel and look at the other playlists that are here, especially the Yifa Society. And if you're interested in becoming a student of the Yifa Society, get in touch. And like I said, if you're interested in me being able to do videos more often, and even if you're not interested in being a Yifa student, but you want to help support the work, then please get in touch as well. Thank you.